Yeah, that was a defense mechanism.
Yeah.
I laughed it away.
Yeah.
Because it was really someone saying like, yo, I see you. I see you. I see greatness in you. And I wasn't used to hearing that.
Right.
And so I laughed it off. But deep inside, I was like, thank you. And I was like, okay, let me go work on it.
Yeah.
Duck off on the side and let me go work on it. But yeah, it's just, like step into it, man. We need to step into who we are.
Right.
And step into our greatness, honestly. I think the first part of doing it is stepping into who we are.
Another day, another opportunity. I am here, man, with a special guest, man. This is somebody that I've been trying to get on multiple shows I've had, actually. I've always had him in mind of somebody that I've always wanted to talk to. Somebody that I've always wanted to, just dig deeper into their story, man, and really just dive into their journey. And he's a Emmy award winner. I had to throw it in there because that's not common. Emmy award winning visual artist, contemporary artist. He is the one and only G. Horton is in the building.
Appreciate it, brother.
My God, man. I appreciate you, man, for coming on, man. It's been a long time coming. And I'm excited, man, to go into your story, man. But thank you for welcoming us into your home, into your studio.
Yeah, no doubt.
This is dope, man.
Yeah, I appreciate y'all coming through, man. And I know the times we've been trying to, get it right, but no time like the present, bro. So welcome.
Appreciate you, man. And we had some difficulties, man. With mics and cameras, but the lesson in it was sometimes you got to be able to pivot.
You got to be able to pivot.
You got to be able to pivot.
Pump fake,
Hey, hit a little pump
Step
fake.
Through.
Hey, see.
Euro,
sound like you know something. Sound like you know something.
A little bit.
Sound like you know something. Well, you know what? We might as well go ahead and talk about the fact that you know a little something about hoop, man.
Yeah,
you know a little something about hoop.
For sure.
You hoop, you coached, and me being a coach, man, it's a nice connection there. So
for sure.
Let's talk about let's come back to that. Let's start with earlier days.
Yeah.
Earlier days in your story, man. A young kid who was an artist. The 10-year-old, the 11-year-old, the 12-year-old you.
Right.
Talk about when did you first and why did you first pick up the pencil, pick up the want to start to create?
Yeah, honestly, I think it goes further back than 11, 12, 13-year-old G. I may have been like 5 or 6 when I remember. The last time, the earliest moments of remembering drawing, I had to been at least 5 or 6.
Wow.
I always had this ability to see things and draw what I was what I was looking at, and so I think for me it's always been something that I just kind of gravitated towards. Art, drawing. Early on, it was cartoons for me, and so I have this thing with books, especially children books, and like children's books are like the portal for most of us. To get connected to art because, it's full of illustrations. And so my earliest memory of drawing was like trying to draw my favorite books. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like The Giving Tree.
Right.
Or Peter Pan books. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Cat in the Hat books. Those type
Right.
of books and illustrations I was naturally drawn towards. And then that quickly progressed into like comic books. That's why you see comic books in the studio.
Very good.
And so some of my earliest memories goes back to like this obsession with books and reading and what was the illustrations that was a part of the book. So, yeah.
That's good, man. And see, and that, when we're kids, man, there's different seeds that are planted. You know what I mean? There's different things that the seed is there, but if it's not watered, if it's not cultivated,
for sure,
right, it won't grow into what its potential is. You know what I mean? And I feel like a lot of us, we have seeds inside of us that are just dormant.
Right.
They can go dormant for a lot of different reasons. And so you picked it up at an early age, but you also put it down at an early age.
Yeah, for sure.
And so talk about what caused you to put it down.
Yeah, you was talking about seeds, man. I was like, okay, I like that analogy.
Yeah.
You see my studio is full of plants, man.
Yeah, I see that.
And one of the things, what struck me when you was talking about seeds, and is like, not all plants are the same. Some of these plants, they need water. Some of them need more sunlight. some of these plants don't need either. You know, I have snake plants back here. You could just stick them in the dark, and they don't need no water, no sunlight. They'll thrive. For me, I feel like my childhood was very similar to being like a snake plant. You know, I didn't have a lot of people who were watering me or putting me in sunlight, and so I just had to adapt to the environment. And so I said that to say that I think that was kind of like the foundation for me as an artist, right? But also, you know, just as a person, is how do you navigate and how do you adapt? And I don't want to lose topic.
No.
Go back to the question.
What I was saying was, you picked it up at an early age, but you also put it down. Right.
Yeah, sure.
And so there was a stage in your life where you weren't drawing, you weren't, doing visual art. And so what caused you to do that? I know for a lot of times, it could be distractions. It can be just a lot of different things, or being uncertain about what you're doing. It could be a lot of things. So for you, what caused you to put it down?
Oh, okay. So I'm gonna make the connection. I don't want to lose the snake analogy because I think it was a good one too. For those out there who have snake plants, you know what I'm talking about.
Right.
I think what caused me to put it down was, I didn't have a lot of people building into that. I didn't have an art coach saying, "Yo, you need to work on your contour lines. You need to work on your blending." Or I didn't have an art coach who would say, "Yo, you can do this with art when you grow up." Right. You know what I mean? In my situation. But what I had coaches. I had basketball coaches. I had football coaches. I had folks who were pushing me to be take more of the athletic route, because in my community, art was kind of taboo. There wasn't a lot of us.
Right.
And so to their, no fault to anybody, but we just didn't see it. And so I didn't have that pathway. But what I had other people who would say, "Hey, maybe work on your follow through,
right?
Work on your left hand dribbling." And so I just think, again, like the snake plant, I was a product of my environment, and I just had to figure it out. And so I think that's what really caused me to put it down, is lack of having someone in front of me to say, "Yo, you got talent, and I think you should consider doing this." And so that's why I think it's so important for younger artists, especially today, to have other artists who they can look up to and say, "Yo, man, he's doing it. He's doing it by himself. He's doing it on his own. He didn't go to school to do this." And so, hopefully, I can change the trajectory for a younger artist if I'm in proximity to them and able to kind of give them the game early on, so that they don't have to reroute or go another direction. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And see, because that's the thing, man. Like you said, we're all products of our environment. Sometimes it's a quote that said, "You can't be what you can't see," right? So a lot of times it's like all it takes for one person to be an example of, "Hey, this is possible too. This is something you can do as well. This is another avenue, another vehicle, another route that you can take,"
for sure.
Right? Because we can be doing something, but because we don't see anybody else doing it and doing it successfully, we're like, what can I do with this?
Right.
This is a little hobby maybe, but it's not something that I can like fully pursue.
For sure.
And so it's not easy, man, to break through and be the one that says, "I'm gonna be the one."
Yeah. I mean, I think I was fortunate enough to be in the right place at the right time, have the right people around me to really push me to go there. And it didn't happen until late, So I say I put the pencil down when I was 12, 13. And I didn't pick it back up until I was 34, 35.
Yeah.
And at that point, I had already lived a completely different life. There was a lot of stuff that was happening in between those two different time periods. And I say that to say, nothing was ever wasted. What I learned and what I gained from in between those time periods has helped me push through or say, "You know what, I can do this." And so, I just lean into wherever I'm at the moment. And luckily, when art popped off, I was in the right headspace to do that,
Yeah. That's good. That's really good because see, that's really good because I think that's something we all can. Because here's what happens. What happens is we'll be doing something. We'll put it down. Years will go by, and then we'll be like, "Man, I wasted all that time."
Man, nothing. No such thing. I mean, I think everything's transferable, right? You know, the stuff that I was doing as a college basketball coach applies to what I'm doing as an entrepreneur. Honestly, I approach my practice as an artist the same way I would get up as a student athlete. You know, it's just like going to practice. It's like lifting weights. It's like you know, it's the extra hours. It's the sleep, no sleep. It's the discipline. It's the staying focused. You know, and so I equate all of those lessons into where I'm at now. Because I would be a fool not to.
Right.
You know, and I don't live under the premise of experiencing life with regrets. I learn, I live and I learn and I evaluate what has happened and I say, man, how can I apply that to whatever I'm doing at the moment and to what's ever next for me? But also, how can I ultimately improve? And that's how I'm wired. And so, taking the good, the bad, and the ugly, just like a player, you go back, you evaluate the game, you watch
the film. Yep.
You realize we ain't boxing out. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Then you
Too
go
many
back.
turnovers. You got to watch film on yourself, and you got to be able to evaluate your progress and get better. And so those are some of the principles I apply even as an artist. It's like, man, you know, if I break it down to a technical side of it, it's like when I'm drawing with my shading, how can I get faster? How can I, you know, and so I study myself. I even record myself drawing sometimes. Most times I might record myself for maybe like 30 minutes. And then I'll go back and I'll watch like, what am I doing wrong? Because sometimes, you know, I'm in my studio for so long and I'm drawing and I'm working on a piece for so long that you incorporate good habits and bad habits. But this ability to take a step back and self-reflect, analyze yourself, pick yourself apart, and get better is key for me. And so those are some of the foundational stuff I was doing as a player, as a coach. So I'm doing it as an artist. You know what I mean? So again, nothing is ever wasted. It's just how you see it. And I choose to see it that way, you know?
And see, and that the word that you used at the very end of what you just said is one of the most important words, in that you chose to see it that way.
For sure.
Because I think we all get to choose how we see our past experiences. Like you said, some people will see it as wasted time.
Right.
Well, where just a perspective shift will have you going from wasted time to no time wasted.
For sure.
You know, it all had purpose.
Exactly.
Right? And purpose and perspective go hand in hand. You see what I'm saying? And so you can repurpose something and say, you know what? That was actually good.
Right.
Right? You can find the good.
For sure.
In
anything.
Come on, man.
Yeah,
see, that's very good. That's very good. And so, okay, so you picked the pen up, put it down. You went to athletics. You were a player, right? You coached at a high level.
Yeah, for sure.
Division I. Division I. You was at Xavier and Furman.
Yeah.
And so
I was at Louisville too as a graduate.
Oh, very good. See, and so that's a high level, man. And so, what was that experience like? As far as was there at the time, was there an itch of something else, or were you so deep into that moment that you didn't really?
Yeah, it's always. I think up until this point in my life, there's always been an itch for something else. What I was attracted to with coaching was excellence. You know, like just the mentality.
Yeah.
You're a coach. And being around like coaches, there's a certain standard that of expectations that I was constantly around. And I had to constantly show because we needed players to believe in whatever the message was. And so I think more so than anything, I was attracted to that. I felt like I was more attracted to that than the game. And I didn't realize that until I got out of the game.
Right.
You know, so it was this obsession with wanting to self-improve. And that's what I loved about it. And on all the levels, you know, at Louisville it was one thing, at Furman it was another thing, at Xavier it was a completely different thing. And so ultimately it was this obsession with coaching, obsession with like being around this pursuit to chase something. You know, everybody's chasing the winning season. Everybody's chasing the best student athletes. Everybody's chasing like the best. And so you become kind of conditioned to function in that way. So I was obsessed with that. However, I did feel like I was missing something. I feel like coaching in that world only activating a certain part of me. Yeah, like when I stepped in the gym, I felt like a coach. I felt like I put on a hat, I put on a role. You know, I was playing a role. And when I left, I was somebody else. And deep down inside, I didn't even really like basketball that much. Like I love basketball, but I didn't want it to be
your life.
I wasn't a lifer. And being in that world on the Division I level, you clearly see who's a lifer and who's not.
Right. Yeah.
It was cats who like. It was cats like you could tell the lifers, man. Like they wife play basketball and all this other stuff. You know what I'm saying? Their kids was gonna play basketball. It was a whole. It was a thing, and I wasn't wired like that, man.
Right.
I would go home. I wouldn't even watch the game. I wouldn't even cut the TV on. You know what I mean? Like, you couldn't pay me to watch a game, man.
Right.
My wife too. Like we was like, nah, we wasn't on that.
Right.
But I quickly realized, like, okay, what am I really chasing? What is it? What is it that I'm really? Why am I here? So I was always asking myself that. And so going back to your question around the itch, it was an itch. It was a desire to do something, do more. And so I had to figure that out. And I think the first 10 to 12 years of my life was figuring it out. So I left coaching to work in a nonprofit. People like, what?
Right. Yeah.
I went from D1 to working for a nonprofit. But again, I got my master's in social work. And so there was this itch that I needed to scratch there. And so I went from the nonprofit world, and I was there for a couple of years. And that itch became something else. So I left that world to work in the corporate space. And that was a whole nother, a whole nother desire. And again, like I felt like in all of the different places that I landed, I was able to be around the best and the brightest. Even in the corporate space, I was around some incredible, smart people who pushed me, who challenged me. And again, this was a new space that I had to navigate and get familiar with. But I was chasing this pursuit to be the best. But it wasn't until I left that and became an artist full time is when I felt like, oh man, the itch is over. I'm done scratching. Only thing that I'm really scratching is like myself and trying to improve myself and how can I get better as an artist. And I'm not going anywhere else. This is what I'm gonna be doing until the casket drops. But the itch is always this constant pursuit for self-improvement. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so it just shows up different, but it's still the same. Yeah. It's still the same direction and the same, I'm moving in the same momentum. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's good, man. That's good. A couple things that came to my mind was, you just talking about your journey of going there. Sometimes, so TD Jakes, right? TD Jakes was talking to, I think he said he was talking to his son, and his son asked him like, all right, I'm about to try this thing. I'm about to try something different. He was like, but Dad, how do I know it's the thing? Like, what if it's not the thing? He said, don't worry, because if it's not the thing, it'll be the thing that leads to the thing.
Oh, for sure. You just got to jump in.
You just got to jump in, man. Bro. And that's the thing. It's a journey.
Jump in, dude.
It's a journey. And so sometimes you got to go here to get there, then to get here.
For sure. For sure. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, you good.
Sometimes we want to jump in the deep end. Just gotta jump in. You know how it is in the pool. Like,
Yeah.
you start off 3 feet and then you go to 5 and 6 and
Yeah.
7. Like, you gotta work your way to the deep
Right.
end. And you don't know that until you don't know what the deep end is until you jump in, man. Give it a go. And that's my mentality.
Yeah.
Jump in and just keep swimming.
Right.
Don't jump out.
Right.
Jump in and keep swimming because as you go through it, as you get familiar with being in different spaces, you learn more about yourself. I think that's the biggest lesson for me. It's like, how am I, or how have I evolved over the years? Yeah. Or how has each situation or environment, how has that shaped or shifted the way that I see myself? And so, because of this ability to being able to just give it a go, I wouldn't even be who I am if I didn't do any of those things, for real. Because like you just said, one step led to another step. And so you just gotta jump in.
Yeah. See, and that's good because you said you got started at 3 and 4, a lot of people don't keep going. I didn't. So, it's gonna be on record, but I can't swim. The reason why I can't swim, I took the lessons. Yeah. I didn't keep going. The thing is, I was in the shallow end and stuff like that. I could do some stuff, but we won't ever see me in the deep end because I stopped. And that's what happens for a lot of us. We start the process, but we don't complete it. Yeah. Right? We're in the middle of the journey and we feel frustrated. And the reason why we feel frustrated is because deep down we know that we should be somewhere else.
For sure.
We feel stuck. You know what I mean? We feel stuck in our job. We feel stuck in relationships. We feel stuck because we haven't had the courage to take the next step.
For sure.
You know what I mean? And so I've been there in my life, man. And, sometimes things have to happen for us to finally take that risk. Yeah. Right? So in 2020, right, you took a risk. Yeah. You took a chance.
For sure.
And you left the corporate world and said, you know what, I'm going to be a full-time artist. Yeah. How was that mentally, man? Was it like, did something happen? 2020, but did something happen for you, or what was those emotions like?
Yeah, before I touch on that, I do want to touch on what you just said and say, it's never too late to learn how to swim either.
That's true. People be saying that. People be saying that.
You can jump in like, and I say that to say we all have a fixed mindset. I'm sorry, we all have a growth mindset.
Right, yeah.
And I say that to tie into where I'm about to go with my artistry. I didn't know how to do what I was doing until a couple years ago. I could have said to myself like, man, I stopped drawing when I was 12. I can't get to where I'm at now. I had to jump back in. And so it's never too late to jump in, bro. And I just wanted to say that while it's on record. It's never too late to jump in. And that's what I felt like I did while I was working all of these jobs. On the front end, I was showing up as one person, one way, like giving these jobs a part of me. But on the back end, I was working on the artist inside of me, right? Right. And so it didn't happen until 2020. It's when kind of the world stopped for a lot of people, most of us, all of us. Yeah. And for me, it was an opportunity for me to let that side of me that was leading the forefront, working the jobs, for other people. It was an opportunity for me to kind of erase that and kill that person, that version of me. Yeah. And allow the back end that I've been kind of working on in the dark to kind of step in the forefront. And that's what happened. So in 2020, I quit my job and I took a risk. And I said, I'm going to do this full time and just give it a go. And honestly, at that point, most people say like, man, when you take the risk, when you make the leap, were you afraid? I'm like, nah. At this point, I knew that all I had to do was just focus on my craft and allow that to kind of lead my steps, allow that to order my steps, and it did. And it was very simple for me, Stay in the lab, stay in the studio, keep working, keep grinding. produce work,
right.
you know, make it accessible for the people, you know? And it's been no turning back since. And so, yeah, it's been honestly a lot easier than what I would imagine. I was talking to him before we went live, and he said, "What's the hardest thing about what you do?" And I was like, "Drawing. The hardest part about drawing is drawing." Because, like, you know, as an entrepreneur and an artist, like, I got to manage the business. I'm everything. I'm marketing department,
Right.
financial department.
Yeah.
I'm logistics department. I'm the production department. I'm all of these things. And then on top of that, I'm a dad. I'm a husband. You know, like all of these hats I have to wear. So the hardest part about drawing is drawing. And so I have to keep that in perspective too when things get tough. But, you know, it's kind of like riding a bike. All right. It's kind of like swimming.
Oh, there we go. He gonna go back to swimming.
The longer you stay in the pool, bro, the easier it'll get, you know.
Right.
So that's where I'm at with it.
No, that's good. And what I hear too is keeping the main thing too. Because that's the difficulty, even as a coach. See, it's very similar.
For sure.
Because, you know, of course, as an artist, right? It's the actual art part is like, okay, I'm an artist.
Right.
But like you said, there's also so many parts of it that a lot of people don't think about. So as a basketball coach, it's like, oh, I coach basketball, I'm on the court, like, but majority of your time is not spent on the court.
Nah, not at all.
You know what I mean? It's the meetings, it's the marketing, it's the branding, the budgeting, and the all of this stuff, handling person. It's so many other
Dealing
things.
With parents, all that.
Oh man, I wasn't gonna say that, but it did come to my mind. But all of that stuff, man, is like a part of it. And I think that why a lot of people give up, it's because it doesn't look like what they thought. It comes with something that you didn't think it came with.
For sure.
All you was thinking about was sitting down, your music playing, and you drawing, and like, yeah, that's what I love. You know, that's all you thought about.
Yeah.
As a coach, oh, I love, like, you know, teaching the kid. You didn't think about everything that came with it.
For sure.
And so when it doesn't look like what you expected, now that's when a lot of times we start questioning the journey. We start questioning, is this for me?
Right.
You know what I mean? And so, and I think we all have that as leaders, as creators. We have moments where something will happen, or, you know, the unexpected. And it's like, man, am I going the right way? How do we continue to go down the path, or have the courage or the strength to push past those obstacles to keep going?
Yeah. I think that for me, and this is just for me, I do a good job of silencing the noise. I silence it, but you know, you have to. Because like what you just described was, whatever your craft is sits in the center, right? And it's considered a sweet spot. Right. And for a coach, it's actually being on the floor, working with the players, playing the game. That's a sweet spot. For an artist, it may look like in the studio, drawing, painting. There's a sweet spot. But what hovers around the sweet spot is all of this noise. You know, it's the meetings, it's the calls, it's the this, the that. But you have to find time where you put yourself in a sweet spot. And whether you work on it or not, you just there, just being there. And so for me, what that looks like is I have designated hours, man, when I'm sitting down. I got to sit down and draw. Sometimes I might sit down and I might just look at the canvas. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But 9 out of 10, like when I'm there, I pick a pencil up and I get busy. But you have to have the discipline. I find the discipline to put yourself in the center of your why. And for me, you know, the sweet spot, my why is drawing. And so when I stay there, like, one, overall it helps boost it increases my happiness and my mood, because that's what I love to do.
Right.
And two, like, I'm obsessed with productivity. And I find myself productive. And so it's nothing but good things that happen and come from me when I'm actually in the zone or in the sweet spot. And so I guess the biggest thing is being able to silence all of this stuff and get to that spot. But when I say silence it, don't forget about it because you still got to manage that stuff, you know.
Right.
But just prioritizing what's important. And early on when I first started, I was bad at getting into the sweet spot. I would do everything but draw. I found myself out having coffees and lunches with everybody.
Right.
And I didn't realize that, like, you know, it's this world as an artist, it was different for me. People wanted to spend time and connect with me because I just get a sense that artists have a unique perspective and people want to get to know a little bit of that. And I felt a lot of tugging and pulling away from my time. And so I was giving it away to everybody.
Right.
Anybody hit me up like, you want to have coffee? I'm like, yeah, you know, and I realized I was like, it takes you carve out an hour for the coffee or for the lunch, but this is another 30, 45 minutes just to get there and get set up. And it's like, man, it's like, oh. And so being able to be very mindful of the little time that I do have, right?
Right.
But prioritizing it, man, that's been the biggest key for me.
Yeah, that's major, man. And you know, I always talk to the players about discipline, right? So the other day, yesterday actually, I was talking to them. And I was like, "What do y'all think discipline is?" Right? I asked each kid, and then I gave what I wanted them to remember it as, and that's discipline is doing what needs to be done, how it needs to be done, when it needs to be done, doing the right thing, the right way, at the right time. Every time, no matter how you feel, no matter who's watching. Right. And so, and I think that motivation is good, but it comes and goes. For sure. You might not always feel motivated.
Yeah.
So if you base everything on if you feel motivated to do it, you just do everything based on your feelings. For sure. You'll be inconsistent. For sure. It's an unstable way of doing things. For sure. You need discipline. Discipline is what will take you past that. For sure. And so as an artist, as an athlete, like we said before, it really goes hand in hand. Yeah. Because all art is an expression of self. For sure. And really, everything you do is an art form. Yeah.
Yeah, and if you don't have the discipline or the systems in place to actually get to the bag or get to the to the sweet spot, then you're gonna come and go.
Right.
And so, it's important for me. But again, it goes back to like my foundation with athletics.
Right.
It grounded me. And I look at it the same way, like before I was in this entrepreneurial space, I used to have to wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning and draw because I was, I have to drive from 4 to 7, take my kids to school, and then go to work for somebody else.
Right.
And then come back home and do the family thing.
Yeah.
And then, go to bed. But I was realizing before I was waking up at 4, I didn't have any time for myself. And so I had to find that time. And it required discipline in order to do that. But again, those are the foundational stuff that I had to figure out. It's kind of like when Kobe would go in the gym and stayed in the gym. But it was a mindset. Yeah. It's a mindset. And after a while, it's not as bad as it may sound. It's waking up at 4, going to the gym, or going in the studio to work. It's just a shift in perspective for real. Yeah.
No, that's good. You said who? Who did you just say though?
Kobe.
One more time.
Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bean Bryant.
Kobe Bean. The greatest to ever do it.
For sure.
Of all time. I've been trying to tell the kids that, these days, man, it's a LeBron era. Man, and, all these kids think LeBron is the GOAT.
I think he is, bro. I'm sorry I'm not with your kids on that one.
You said, oh, man, I thought you were with me. You said.
I mean, I love Kobe, but LeBron is
But yeah, you brought Kobe. I thought you was on my side. I thought we was about to have a moment.
He ain't going to get his flowers until he's dead and gone. I'm telling you. Man.
Look, man.
It's kind of like what happened with Kobe, man.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I mean, I was always Kobe, but I did see.
When he passed.
I did see that everybody was like, oh, he is the GOAT. I was like, oh, yeah, now y'all want to say. Now you want to say.
Different, man.
He's different.
He's different, bro.
I mean, he's different, but things can be different. I mean, this water might be different from another water, but it's better.
I can do it.
And so, okay, it would be a crime not to talk about this specific part of your story, because I feel like it's a major piece, and that's I believe you were in college and you took a course, and you had a professor who saw something that you didn't see.
Yeah.
Talk about that.
Yeah, so I was at Thomas More, and it was my last year, my senior year. I think I was taking like 21, 22 classes. Like I was just trying to get up out of there, man. And in one of the classes that the extra class I was taking, I needed it in order to graduate. It was drawing. It was a drawing class. And the title of the class was called Drawing on the Right Side of the Brain. And so what it did, it taught you how to deconstruct like certain objects and break them down into small parts in order to draw the whole thing.
Right.
And we did that with a pencil. And that was my introduction into a pencil. I used to draw as a kid with a pencil, but I really didn't know what I was doing.
Right.
When I took this class, I discovered there's like 20 different types of pencils.
Right.
And all of them have a unique way of doing something.
Yeah.
And so that was one thing. But when I went through the class, I was in the class with art majors. And I was standing out. And teacher didn't see me coming. And she kind of gravitated towards my ability and would always, say little things to me on the side like, hey, you're really good. Like, oh, you did that? Like, I think I was surprised at her because for whatever reason, I'm going to go out on a limb and say maybe she just didn't,
Yeah.
I look like the stereotypical jock
right.
in an art class. Right. But towards the end of the class, right around graduation, she pulled me to the side and said, yeah, what you gonna do with your gift? And I looked at her like she was crazy. And I was like, what gift? And she said, art. And she said to me that if I don't pursue art, it'd be one of the biggest regrets of my life. And I was just like, okay, lady, whatever.
Right.
I'm gonna try to go play overseas. Right. What you talking about, So, man, I say this. I like telling that story because she was right, and I think I'm glad she was right because even though I decided to pursue something else, even though I heard that I listened to her advice, and I was like, man, whatever. But I was, at the end of the day, I was flattered. And there was a little bug inside of me that, I left that place thinking to myself, like, man, this art teacher think I'm nice? Like,
Right.
And so the artist didn't completely die when I left that class. He just went to go lie dormant. And it wasn't until I was able to, find my way back to it to get reconnected to that little seed that she planted. And I was at the point where I didn't need anybody to water it or give it sunlight. I was like, and so I was able to really invest into my own self. And so, I think she planted a seed and she didn't even know it. I didn't even know it. But when I left, I took all the equipment that she gave me and some of the, a lot of what she taught me. And I would like draw on the side and I always try to stay connected to whatever that seed is that she left. But it wasn't until later on in life I picked it all up and I was like, yo, let me give this a real try and see where it goes. And so,
see, shout out to her.
Yeah, Barb.
Shout out to Barb because sometimes it takes one person. You said planting seeds.
For sure.
You see what I'm saying? To just plant that seed, right? It might not grow until 10 years later.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? But they planted that seed. You know what I mean? Because first of all, when you said that, it hit me. So I know it hit you when she said it to you. Hey, what you gonna do with your gift?
Yeah.
Like, what? That'll make it be like, what? What are you talking about?
For sure.
Like, oh, you see me hoop? Like,
for sure.
That's what you think. Like, oh, you must have seen me hoop or something. That's my gift.
Yeah.
She's like, nah, this right here. What you gonna do with it?
For sure.
And I think it's really something that anybody watching right now, anybody listening right now can ask. We can ask that right now. What are you gonna do with your gift?
Yeah. Yeah, that's why I think, coaching is important. My wife's a teacher. Teaching is important. Being around young people is important because you never realize the impact you have on them.
Yeah.
You never really realize the impact you have on them. And I remember when I was in high school playing basketball, I played on the team. I wasn't the best. I thought I was. But in reality, like, it was some cats who were way nicer than me.
Yeah.
And so I had to find my own role. My role was I was more of a leader. and I can get them cats who were quote unquote better than me hyped up and ready and focused for the game. And my high school coach, who I really didn't have a good relationship with at the time, again, it was just me being a typical student athlete, right? Yeah. I just wanted to play more. He just knew the reality. Them dudes was better than me. But I was like, you know what? There's still something I can offer the team. And so I took on this leadership role. And me and the coach, we connected because he would depend on me to make sure we were ready. My teammates were ready. And I never forget one day he said, man, you're going to be a great coach one day. And I was just like, I didn't really say much. I just kind of took him in the machine, like, whatever. But it was those little nuggets that we tell young people, man. And that takes them. All I needed was somebody to just say, give me a little push. And then I would believe it. And someone that said to me, like, yo, you'd be a great pilot one day. I was like, word?
You be out there right now.
You know what I'm saying? Like, flying Delta somewhere, man. But
while drawing.
Right. So I say that to say, man, you just never know the impact we have on young people. And also, wherever they are. And so I was one of those kids. I was always a sponge. And so wow.
And that's why it's important the people you have around you. Because it's not just when we kids though. It's at any age, man. The people you have around you can either speak life into the situation or speak death into it. You see what I'm saying? Like you could be doing something and you kind of feel proud about it, whatever it may be. And you could be around people that's like, oh, that's whack. What you doing? You lame. What you on? And you like, dang, maybe I shouldn't be doing this.
They'll crush your dreams.
They'll crush it.
For sure.
Or the opposite, they could be like, oh, that's dope, bro. You got to keep going. I want to see more. And now you going.
Slippery slope, man. And unfortunately, some of the kids, man, a lot of kids I'm speaking to, they don't have that. They don't have somebody who's building into them.
Right.
When I say build into them, it doesn't necessarily mean like providing physical, like materialistic things to them. Like building into people is just like words of wisdom.
Yeah.
Or just, gentle words of encouragement. And that'll take you a long way, bro.
It will. It will. Just a small word of encouragement, man.
For sure.
Small word.
For sure.
That you don't know, because you don't know what people are going through.
For sure.
Like you really don't know, man. You don't know, hey, okay, I see you with the fresh cut. Yeah. You don't know that person went away like, fresh cut. You know, it may seem small to you or somebody else, but just it could be anything, man. And so that's very important. And just wrapping it up, man. But I heard you say before that there was some insecurity at some point because it's not like you're self-taught.
Right.
And when you're self-taught, a lot of times we can feel like, do I have the credentials?
Oh, man.
Do I have the credentials that I need? And so an insecurity can be there.
Yeah.
And so talk about how you personally overcame that insecurity, that feeling like, do I have the credentials?
Man, I'm still working through that. I'm still working through that. I think for me, so much of my insecurity is tied to like my own personal trauma and me wrestling through survivor's guilt, over my own situation. And so again, I think each time I create something, I'm chipping away at that narrative, right? Each time I'm in community with other artists who build into me, there's an opportunity to chip away at that narrative. But I would say, man, it's a process. It's something that for me, I'm learning to break away from day by day. Eventually I get to the point where I feel bulletproof enough where like it doesn't really faze me. But there's, there's so much, especially in this art space, that so much of, validation coming from this institution, are seeing the world or having work that is on display here or from there. And so I think what I consider myself doing is I have a non-traditional path and my practice looks different. And so I just have to remind myself of that. And so a lot of it is positive self-talk, building into myself, constantly reminding myself, journaling, working on myself, because, it ain't easy. And so I say that to say that it's just a process, just like everything. It ain't, and I don't ever want it to seem like it's perfect, you know.
Yeah.
But it's my process, and so taking ownership of where I'm at, but also building on it every day has been critical for me.
That's good, man. That was so good because you saying I'm still working on it. Yeah. I think that'll free a lot of people.
For sure.
Because a lot of times we feel like I feel this way. How do I? But it's a process, and it's not the feeling of it is not the problem. Yeah. It's your perspective on it. Sure. Just what makes you human. Yeah. And so don't think that. Don't disqualify yourself. Yeah. Based on those emotions. I think that's gonna free a lot of people, man. I think it frees me. It frees me, man. And because a lot of us have a gift, and when she said, "What are you going to do with your gift?" The next step and the important step is for now you to accept your gift. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, gift? Yeah. Who are you talking about?
Yeah, that was a defense mechanism. Yeah. I laughed it away. Yeah. Because it was really someone saying like, yo, I see you. I see you. I see greatness in you. And I wasn't used to hearing that. Right. And so I laughed it off. But deep inside, I was like, thank you. And I was like, okay, let me go work on it. Duck off on the side and let me go work on it. But yeah, it's just, you know, like step into it, man. We need to step into who we are. Right. And step into our greatness, honestly. I think the first part of doing it is stepping into who we are. And yeah.
That's good. That's very good. Okay, so how I always end it is what I call the final four. Word. Okay. Right, so shout out to March Madness, all that's at the final four. It's the final four question. Could be like just a quick answer. Yeah. All right. But the first one is Instagram, right? Social media, right? They changed it. Something went wrong. You went to your account, like, wait a minute, I'm not following nobody because they changed the whole thing. You can now only follow 3 people. Damn. Who you follow?
I gotta follow my wife because she's gonna be mad.
Okay, yeah, you got to.
She's like, why ain't you follow me? My brother. Okay. And 2 of my best friends. Yeah. Follow my people.
I like that.
Yeah. Because I mean, that's why not? They're gonna follow me back.
Right.
Versus trying to follow somebody who don't know me. You know.
Right. That's good.
Follow my people, man.
That's very good.
Loyal, day one. With my people, I'm gonna follow.
That's good. I like that. I like that.
And then from there we can build.
Right. Yeah. That's good. Okay. Second one. You're driving Uber. Okay. All right. You're driving Uber. You picked up this kid, take them to their destination. All right. Y'all drive. Y'all talk a little bit. All right. You drive some more. They get to their destination. They're about to get out the car. You look back. You realize, oh snap! It's the younger me. The younger you, though, is about to get out the car. You get one final thing to say to the younger G. What you gonna say?
I'm proud of you, bro. Keep going.
That's good.
He need that.
Yeah, that's
he
good.
He needs that.
Shit, we all need it.
I'm proud of you, bro.
I felt that one.
Keep going. Straight up. You see how I hesitate?
Right, yeah.
I got a couple words I'm waiting on him. So if I can get reconnected to him, like, yo, man, I'm proud of you, bro. Keep going.
Yeah. You know. That's good. That's very good.
There's a snake playing off in the dark.
Right. Yeah. Yep. That's good.
Trying to find a little sunlight.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's good. The third one. Okay. When it's all said and done, right? You've done all the art you could possibly do. It's all over. What do you want people to say? G. Horton was.
Wow. Here. G. Horton was here.
Yeah.
It's for real.
Yeah.
Like, wow. I wanna have enough. I hope to have left this place with enough that they know that I was here. Like, damn, G. Horton was here. That simple.
You know what? I ain't gonna lie. Of all, that was good. I've asked that question a lot, and I've never gotten that one.
Yeah, man. I want to be here. I want to be known. Like, man, like y'all felt me.
Ooh, that was good. That was good.
Yeah,
that was good.
That's a good question.
I've always contemplated what I would say to that question, because when you ask the question so many times, like, what would I say, right? But I ain't gonna lie, that might be it.
Yeah.
that was good. That was good. All right, last but not least.
Okay.
for this show, man, it's about digging deeper, right? Yeah. And the whole thing is, if you dig deep enough, you'll be surprised by what you find, right? And a lot of times we don't get to the core of something because we don't dig deep enough. We just don't, right? And so we don't. And blurry things come into focus with the right questions. And so, like I said, it's the whole basis of the show, man. And so the last question is: the whole world is watching, the entire world. Every age, every single person in the whole world is watching right now. Yeah. And you get to ask them one question for them to ponder on and go away with. What's the question you're going to ask them?
The whole world?
The whole world.
That's a really hard question. Wow.
Little kids, people, 90-year-olds, 8-year-olds in Africa and Asia and America, Australia, somebody in Antarctica just somehow like, oh, no, look at this. Everybody from everywhere is watching right now.
I get to ask them one question?
One question.
Man, that's a tough one. I think as I kind of fumble through this question, through this response, I think my question would be centered around something around, it'd be not even a question, it'd be like a call of action.
Okay.
I would tell them, to go hug somebody, tell somebody you love them today. You know what I mean? Because that's what we need.
Yeah.
That's what we need. We need more love, man. It would be more of a call of action. It'd be something along that lines, like something towards something service purpose, right? Like do something for somebody right now. Call somebody who you've been meaning to call and tell them you love them. It'll be a call of action more than a question, because it'll be too many responses. Because with a question comes the responses, and I don't necessarily need answers. I just need action, and so I'm gonna answer it that way, bro.
That's good. I don't need answers.
I just need action.
I just need action.
Go love on somebody today.
That's good.
You know what I mean?
That's good.
Just imagine if everybody in the world just like, next thing they did, let's say you got a bad relationship with your dad, you call and be like, yo, man, I was a butthead, man. I love you, Dad. I'm sorry. Like that would, what that would do for him and his day, or whatever the case may be. Yeah, it becomes a ripple effect. One thing I will say is, for that day, it may be a great day. Right. If everybody in the beginning of the day does that. Yeah.
That's good. That's good. Well, that was good, man. I appreciate you, man, for coming on, man.
This is dope.
I appreciate you. Everybody who's watching this and listening to this, man, I hope that you got something from it. I know I did. Sure. And, what you gonna do with your gift?
Yeah, what you gonna do?
You know what I mean? That stuck with me, because it's like, it makes you really ponder, like, don't waste it. No. Don't waste it. You know what I mean?
Just think about it.
Yeah.
Think about it. Yeah. Like the fact that, like, I think it was a loaded question because I didn't know what to do with my gift. That's why I didn't do anything with it. But she just acknowledged the gift. It was the acknowledgement.
That was the most important part.
Yeah, it was not the action. Like she gave me a call to action. I didn't know what to do with it. I'm like, shit, I don't know. Like, what do you want me to do? Like, I'm about to go play ball overseas somewhere. What you want me to do, lady?
Right.
But thank you for acknowledging that I do have a gift. I'm gonna go work on it. That's what I did. It took me some time to get there, but if she didn't acknowledge that I had a gift, I may not have gave it the time and the attention. I would have threw all the stuff that I got in the class away.
That's good, man. Acknowledge the gift, accept the gift, and push past the insecurities. Because if you do, I got a connection. I had to do it. Because if you do, you could be like G and go from being insecure to working on insecure. Yeah. You got it. You got it.
I don't know where you was going.
All right, I'll let y'all do y'all research on that. But I just had to do that. I just had to do that. My guy. And so once again, I appreciate you, man, for coming on, taking your time, all that stuff, man, and keep finding the good. And Appreciate you, man.
Yeah, thank y'all, man. This is dope.
My God. Good. Very good, man. That was good.